I think one of the reasons why is like, isn't it weird how sometimes we actually get kind of addicted to our feeling bad? Like you're saying, like, why would I choose a belief that doesn't make me feel good? Because I'm used to that. You know, like maybe there's some area where you keep choosing something and you know you don't feel good and you know that thought doesn't make you feel good, but it's a habit. Do you know what I mean? And
well,
it's hard
once you
to break
recognize it,
yeah.
Once you recognize it's not a habit, it's a choice. And one of the reasons we choose it isn't because we're used to it, is the fear of being wrong. Because we all want to be right, even if it's bad. And there's the insistence that I'm talking about. People will argue over points, and the reality is all beliefs and all viewpoints on things are valid. So why would I argue mine? I go forth and tell no one. And then people start noticing, oh, things are working out. And they notice when things aren't working out, because I'm talking to myself. Cursing out people while I'm live streaming. No. So that's, at the bottom of it, that's really what it is. We insist things have to happen this way. We hold on to the argument. And we hold on to the argument because if we can get 51% of people, the majority of people to agree with me, then I will be good. And Hitler tried that. Mussolini tried that. A lot of people tried that. And we know it doesn't work. It always breaks down because it's very difficult convincing people. Even as we sit here, I explain this stuff to you, even from a viewpoint, I have no insistence on you believing what I'm saying is true. That's entirely up to you. I'm just offering it up from how I see it. If I were to insist that you believe this and get angry that you didn't, that would make me arrogant and I would lose all control of my life. And I don't want that.
So how do you explain to people who say, well, I believed this was going to happen and then it didn't happen?
If it didn't happen, you truly didn't believe it would happen. So then if it didn't happen, you have to ask yourself, what belief did I have? So a lot of times people, when things don't happen, and that's where, when you actually go to do something, and one of the advice I give, and again, you can take it or leave it, is when you go to do something, only confide in someone that's going to support you. If not, go forth and tell no one. Once you try to convince someone that you're going to succeed, you're not convinced yourself. Because I don't have to convince anybody of anything. In the act of convincing, you don't trust you're going to make it. Therefore, that belief, which is deep down inside, comes to fruition and you don't do it. Why are you trying to convince someone you're going to do something anyway? Don't need to do it. You don't even need to convince yourself. Having something to do with it, like this first time you were at my talks. So all these things I'm talking about, everything from belief structures, like I did tonight. In the past, I talked about imagination, all these things. Are once we start to understand these mechanical aspects of life, our inner guidance system works supremely. It's always working. But if you don't understand it, it would be like the analogy I always use. If you had a GPS in your car and you never heard of one, and you know someone punched in an address, or the GPS overheard you say, I want to go here, but you weren't aware it was recording it, it would then say, in 500 feet, make a right. And you'd be like, what the hell is that sound? And you ignore it. When you create an imaginative thought, it's the sole purpose of imagination thought is to raise your frequency beyond the frequency you act. Not to make it better, just to make it greater. So I want to imagine something I've never done. So I picture myself already having achieved that thing and I want to do. Not going there, because then I'll get always going there. So I always have my achieve. So say it's a business. So I imagine myself already successful in that business, several years perhaps. I see myself acting as if I was in this very successful business. And when I use that imagery, it literally changes my frequency inside, all right? Now have no insistence on how it has to happen. And then that frequency knows where you're at, and then it'll give you impulses to act on them as best you can. Just like a GPS. I want to go to Colorado, put the address in. GPS knows exactly where you are. Red pin, blue line, blue dot, that's you. And if you follow the directions one step at a time and listen to it without questioning, you will get there undoubtedly. The purpose of this whole thing is to get there, but not know what's going to happen in between. The whole purpose of this is to create a storyline. We don't want to know what's going to happen in between, just like you don't want to go to a movie and know what's going to happen. Yes, you get to pick the genre. Yes, you get to pick your favorite actors or actresses to go see. But you don't know what the movie's about, and you don't want to know what the movie's about, nor do you want to know what's going to happen from Phoenix to Colorado. But if you're excited, only exciting things are going to happen. If you're terrified, only terrified things are going to happen.
So like with a GPS, it's telling you where to go. It's telling you to go straight, right, left, whatnot. How do you listen to your own intuition when it's not verbalizing?
Oh, it's even better than that, but just ignore it. That's why I put up the, thanks for bringing that up. So when I create an impulse to do something, say, go back to the imagination I taught about the business. So I am this great businessman, you know, whatever it is you look like, it creates an impulse. Then I drop the insistence on how I have to get there. And then all of a sudden, an impulse might come in. And the impulse might be to call a friend to have a cup of coffee. The corporeal mind might say, well, how is a cup of coffee going to get me a business? I need to go to this way. I need to go look up business up. You actually just missed the first signal. Because with a GPS, it says make a right. And if I don't make the right, guess what it doesn't do? It doesn't offer up the next piece of information. It just says recalculate. All right? But no big deal, because like I was in LA over the weekend, and wow, that place is a mess. So I kept missing these turns I couldn't get over, but the GPS always recalculated and I got there. I wasn't worried because I couldn't get over because people wouldn't let me over. Make a right at this street. Oh, okay, well, make a right at this street. And it didn't say, well, when the hell are you going to make the right? It eventually got me into the clear, so I didn't have to worry. So when you actually create that imagination, you're going to get impulses and act on it. So if you call your friend up, act on as best you can, go get the cup of coffee, and you might be telling your friend about this business, and there might be someone next to you hearing about it, and they might offer something up. And then when you act on that, you then fed the next piece, and act on that, act on that, act on that. People look too far ahead. If you had to look at a map in your driveway and study it to get to Colorado, you would never make it out of your neighborhood. Stop it. Stop thinking you know everything that's supposed to happen. You have no idea. None. But you know what a positive impulse feels like opposed to a negative impulse, right? Impulses come. They're just bits of energy. And when you notice the difference between a negative impulse and a positive impulse, so I say act on a positive impulse. When you get a negative impulse, take a breather. You know, if you act it out, it's going to duplicate a new negative thing. No big deal. We've all done it, and we're all sitting here, aren't we? It's not a big deal. So give yourself a break.